Frederick, Colorado, a quiet suburban town where neighbors knew each other by name and violent crime felt like a distant fear. On August 13th, 2018, that sense of safety was shattered. Shanann Watts, 34 years old, 15 weeks pregnant with a son she and her husband Chris had already named Nico, suddenly went missing. Along with her were her two little girls, 4-year-old Bella and 3-year-old Celeste. The alarm was raised, not by a stranger, but by Shanann's close friend Nicole Atkinson. She had dropped Shanann off the night before after a business trip, but the next morning, Shanann missed a doctor's appointment and stopped answering calls. Nicole drove to the Watts' home, knocked on the door, and when no one answered, called the police. When officers arrived for the welfare check, Chris Watts came to the door. He let them inside, speaking calmly and politely, but something about his demeanor struck both Nicole and the responding officers as odd, too controlled, too emotionless. A neighbor offered security footage from earlier that morning. On the screen, Chris could be seen backing his work truck right up to the garage in the early hours, loading it for nearly an hour before driving off. Chris claimed he was simply loading tools for work, yet detectives watching the footage noticed his voice shift and his posture change. It was subtle, but telling. As the investigation unfolded, a picture of marital strain emerged. Shanann had confided to friends about growing distance between her and Chris. Police soon learned he was having an affair with a co-worker. That morning, after Shanann returned home, an argument erupted. Prosecutors say Chris strangled her in their bedroom. With his daughters still alive, Chris loaded Shanann's body into his truck. He drove them to a remote oil field owned by his employer. There, he smothered each child and disposed of all 3 bodies, Shanann in a shallow grave, the girls in separate oil tanks. Later that day, Chris appeared on local TV, pleading for their safe return. Viewers saw a husband and father asking for help, but in reality, he was lying to an entire community. Confronted with mounting evidence, GPS data, camera footage, and inconsistencies in his statements, Chris eventually confessed. In November 2018, he pleaded guilty to all charges to avoid the death penalty. His sentence, 5 life terms, without the possibility of parole. The Watts family murders remain one of the most haunting reminders that even the people we think we know best can hide the darkest of truths.